And if Mark came first and chose not to record the resurrection, but left the women afraid in an empty tomb, what have you done? You've just undercut the authority of Matthew, Luke, and John, who proclaim the resurrection.
It's that archaeology is validating what the scriptures are telling us.
Alec, the Bible only has one message. It's only one message. It's how the Lord is going to conquer death to give us life. That's it.
So today I'm joined with Dr. John Schwandt. Dr. Schwandt is a biblical language scholar and founding president of Redemption Seminary. Welcome.
Well, Alec, it's great to be here. Thanks for that. I'm excited for our discussion.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So maybe we could start if you give us a little bit of background of what brought you to where you are now.
Sure. So, like most biblical scholars, I began as a landscape architect.
Exactly. Yes, perfect sense. Yeah.
So, right. So I did start as a landscape architect. Yeah, I had another interest in philosophy, and when I realized, well, actually, I could have a future working on theory and maybe perhaps philosophy, I decided I better go to seminary just to get my theological ducks in a row and really understand the world and history from a theological perspective, rather just from a secular philosophical perspective, and be able to engage them. So I went to seminary, and I was a little different. I was a little older and didn't have a lot of the upbringing all the other seminarians had. So I had all sorts of questions. I was kind of the odd duck in the class. I would sit up front. I'd ask a lot of questions. A lot of questions people would say, well, it's, sometimes they were just very basic questions. Sometimes they were questions from a different point of view. But I like that. I think it kind of pushes things. My goal was then to go into apologetics, but I was weak in the area of biblical languages, and they were just difficult for me to learn. And so there was a college, New St. Andrews College in Idaho, that I had a relationship with, and they wanted me to come teach languages. And so I thought that, well, if they were willing to inflict me on their students for a few years, that would be a great time for me to learn the languages. And so that was my desire, was to learn the languages in about 3 years. So I took the languages in seminary, but I really wanted to understand them and work with them. So,
Okay.
So then as I was teaching, I ended up just falling in love with the Bible and languages, and really didn't feel the need to. I was actually kind of getting bored of apologetic arguments. They were started to look more and more obvious to me.
Right.
And I was more interested in the Word and how it was blessing me. And
Okay.
so I ended up teaching languages and the Bible for that reason. That's what we used to teach the language for about almost 20 years.
Okay.
And,
Wow.
yeah, I would teach through the same books a lot. Is just so. For example, First John is a typical introduction to Greek because it's similar to English and it's pretty straightforward. Gospels
Okay.
as well, and so it was just year after year. I would teach online. I would go around the nation teaching intensive Greek courses, and I have no idea how many times I've translated First John or the Gospel of John. It just too many to count. But every time I would find something more interesting and deeper. It never failed to it never failed me to surprise me what is there and the depths that it goes. And so it just kept me coming back.
Okay. Right.
So that's kind of some, I found some things that I think we're going to talk about today that
Right.
might
Yeah.
be, and a lot of it is stuff you can see in English, but for some reason we have blinders on it. We don't quite see it. And it takes the original language to to slow us down. Sometimes it actually helped me. I use the languages to understand the boundaries of, well, how far can I push this interpretation, or what are the options here? And so that gave me the confidence to explore various interpretations and themes as well. So
Okay.
I found it extremely rewarding.
Okay. A couple questions on that. So you had said you were in to philosophy.
Mhm.
Was how did you take courses on that, or how far that did you dig into that?
So I was a double major for a while at the university I attended in philosophy and architecture, then landscape architecture, and eventually I got about halfway through the program and then just focused, or I started to minor in art at that point. And then I went back to finish that second BA even after my master's, and almost finished that. They were confused by that
Right.
move. Um,
Now, so when you went back and worked on that, were you reading Greek at that point?
I was.
So did that apply at all to any of the philosophy? Did you look at that or?
I thought it would, but it really didn't.
Okay.
It the courses I was dealing with were a little. They weren't ancient philosophy as much. I did as much ancient philosophy as I could, but I kind of exhausted those courses, and unfortunately, it's not original languages aren't as used in philosophy as I thought they would have been, and I think they
Oh,
should be. But the courses I
right.
was taking, the professors, they couldn't read it, so it
Oh,
didn't
wow.
help me as much.
Okay. I would have just assumed.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay. And then what drew you to apologetics earlier on?
My own faith. I was atheist, and I had a lot of questions. I grew up in a Christian home, but I rejected that. I thought it was all. Well, I just wasn't convinced. I thought it was all.
Hmm.
It was too fruity in my estimation to be true, and too good to be true. And so I started investigating other religions, other philosophies, and eventually exhausted all of those and was left with the one I didn't want. So I was that kind of atheist for a while. There is no God and I hate him type of atheist
Right.
that can't live with himself because of that contradiction. And then eventually the Lord softened my heart and I said, okay, I give up. And because of that, I had that personal experience of struggle and answering those questions, and I felt like I could speak to others with those same difficulties. Actually, it's really similar to my struggles in Greek and languages. I would challenge my students to ask me a question that I personally haven't asked, or show me a mistake I personally haven't made. So I thought it made me a better teacher because I could empathize with those and speak to those misunderstandings. I could also write incredibly challenging questions because I knew the tempting mistakes that.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So was there an argument that brought you to the faith, or what aspect, I guess, made you realize that this is truth?
Yes. Well, really, it was later I realized that it was, I guess, made more prominent by an apologist named Cornelius Van Til. So a transcendental apologetic. So what I was using logic to evaluate different options, but I had no justification for logic without Christianity.
Okay.
It really bothered me that I couldn't develop a, a leg to stand on in my own thoughts, and so it
Hmm.
just kept sending me back to nothing. And that was the biggest one. Was what does
Okay.
it take? What are the preconditions for having universals, to actually have us making sounds to one another, to people listening, that actually make sense and are meaningful. And even the idea of meaning, what that is, what are the preconditions for those? And oddly enough, it it uh, it takes an omnipotent God becoming incarnated into our realm, uh, creating that bridge, creating, promising us that there is such a thing as communion, that it does have meaning to supply that. And it happens in time. And it is a real, no matter when it would happen in time, it would seem strange. It would seem crazy. It all actually, more you dig into it and accept what does seem to be too ad hoc, or too just too personal to be universal, it actually supports it. So, yeah, that was a great question.
Okay. Okay. And then you had said you struggled with the languages, and then obviously you got quite good at the languages, right? You started teaching the languages.
Yeah. It took me a while to learn any other language than English, just because I didn't want to learn another grammar or another mode of thinking. And I thought it was just vocabulary and the other grammar, the grammar. Because I was afraid of English grammar, actually, to be truthful. But
Hmm.
I didn't even understand how my own language worked grammatically.
Okay.
And so it was very difficult for me to learn another grammar for that. I just didn't even know what I was comparing. It would confuse me. And so it took beginning. I tried Spanish many times. It didn't work for me. And then I went to seminary. The seminary I chose required languages, which is one of the reasons I chose it. I had tutors before going, trying to prepare me, and there was an intensive Greek course, and thankfully it finished before I could fail, and that let me know that there was, I hadn't mastered everything at all, but I'd seen everything, and I realized, okay, this is not an infinite amount of data, and
Okay.
grammar isn't completely relative. It's actually really simple, and it really boils down to things that you can count on one hand, categories that you can describe all grammar into 2 points or five. It is a lot more finite than I ever thought, and so even someone as slow as me could learn it, given enough time. So that's what encouraged me to continue on and actually learn it.
Okay. And then you had said like every time you translate or look into it, there's more that you discover in there. Is that part of what helped drive you forward to continue seeking it out and learning it?
Oh yeah, and it's a life activity, just like English. We're always learning more words, more. We can appreciate better writing. We know we can appreciate when we write something that's better than something we've written in the past, and so it's a lifetime activity, and once you are able to not rely on the English, can you just start uh, reading? So whenever I go to church, I'm reading the Greek. I love it when someone's reading English, and it
Right.
actually helps me if I miss something or don't know a word or something, that it's right there for me. But that you start to see the word play in the original language. You get a much closer sense of the author and the way they structure their thoughts. And so it's again in that mode. It opens up that mode of thinking that is not the same as an English mode of thinking.
Yeah, that's very fascinating. Like just trying to glimpse into that, mostly Greek, but I think you also you can read Latin as well, or
Yep. And then for a time, I could do Hebrew, and I need to refresh that.
okay.
I taught Latin for long enough that it's deep in, and actually, it's so similar to Greek that if you dig into it long enough, they become very similar. You start to realize the older authors would explain things in Greek with Latin terms, vice versa. It would be I can see some of those relationships, although it took a long time. And a lot of my first reasons for learning Latin was to get in on the jokes that people would write, the scholars would write in their texts and things. They would always write a sentence and have something in parentheses in Latin, like what are they saying right there? That seems like an interesting point. And so that was, I did it also for my job, but it was okay. I finally get to get on the inside jokes and things, and it's actually there wasn't much there actually when I.
No, it wasn't so funny.
It's usually just the same thing as what they said in English. They just are translating it into Latin.
Okay. Okay, so then you were teaching languages and Bible for a while. You said 20 years, was it about?
Almost, yeah. It was 17 years. And then I went and worked for Logos Bible Software for a little while and brought in scholars from all over, and we recorded their coursework. That's how I started there. They brought me in to teach a Greek course and record that, and then they had me direct the division for a while, and then eventually we thought that seminaries should be using this great material, and unfortunately they passed on it because they have their own campuses and faculty to support, and so that's what initiated starting Redemption Seminary, is to be able to use all of this material that we recorded from the most prominent scholars, and then as far as the live component of the grading and the professors, have them be mentors and have the grading not be exams and stressful situations, but just a conversation, a lot like this. And if the mentor professor has questions about where someone's going, they can ask that. And if there's something that needs to be adjusted and brought back, they can do that. So it's an extremely relational apprenticeship, discipleship type of model. And it has all of that great teaching that we produced in Logos. And I'm just really happy that they said, yes, go do that. So since we really thought that seminaries would do it, because it saves students money. It's you get to have a dream team of instructors. It's highly relational, but the model just doesn't work with the traditional models. So that's when they said, yep, go do that if that's your vision. And so we got a nonprofit board together, nonprofit entity, and we launched Redemption in 2020.
Okay. Yeah, very nice. So, and how's it coming along? How's the development and how's the model working?
It's going better than ever. We had our first graduates in 2022. We've had 55 graduates now. This is 2025. So we have almost 200 students involved in the program right now. We seem to add about 35 students a year, and that's on top of everybody that's graduating. Our graduation rate is phenomenal. The thing that I care about most is, they call it in business, they call it the Net Promoter Score, the NPS. It's would you recommend questions. And the industry average in education is 51. We're at 91. And so that's the thing I am most concerned or care about. Do the students see that this is actually helping their ministries? Is it helping them grow? Is it beneficial? And that's the information we get back. And our average age is 50. And so at that age, people tell you what they think. And so we get a lot of feedback and are able to continue to improve that way as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds really good from what I've looked into. It sounds great. Okay. So you had mentioned in John 2 that you had some insights that you were seeing there. I was hoping you'd share that with us.
Yeah, it's just your commitment to the water and the wine.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems fitting.
Yes, and there's actually we should talk sometime also about First John. There was one passage that got me going in there as well, was the water, the wine, and the spirit, and
Okay.
these are one. That's another one that
Yeah.
is really fun to dig into. But I want to talk about right now
Okay.
is the is the water to wine narrative in John 2,
Okay.
and there's a passage, there's verse 4 has puzzled many people. That's where Jesus says it's not my hour, and there's a lot of that's a major theme in in John, and actually the other gospels, the hour, and also in John, he has a lot of the I am statements. I'm the bread. Before Abraham was, I was. I'm the light of the world. I'm the door, the vine. But in this passage, he talks about the hour. My hour has not come. But before he says that, he says something that a lot of people are a little uncomfortable with when he says, what is this to me and to you, woman? And this is to Mary, his mom. My hour has not yet come. And it's a difficult passage to translate because it's idiom. I love idioms.
Okay.
But they are very difficult to translate because usually we don't have the exact same idiom. We don't in this case. That sounds weird. What I just said sounds very stilted in English. So I have a little list here of translations, and we can see how they handle that statement. What basically it doesn't even have a verb. It's just what to me and to you, and
Okay.
then woman is the, I guess, word for word. I don't like to say literal, but that's the word for word replacement of English words to Greek words there.
Okay.
And so the NIV translates that as, why do you involve me? ESV, what does this have to do with me? And I think it's basically a refusal. It's none of my business is what they're saying. I think they take that because the next phrase is something negative. My hour, it's not my hour. My hour has not yet come. So I think they think that, okay, because he finishes that sentence with something negative, this ambiguous phrase should also be negative.
Okay.
But that creates a problem because in the very next verse, Mary says, whatever he says, go do it. Sounds like he said something positive. So
Yeah.
it becomes, in narrative becomes that the problem, a different problem arises. So then the NLT, it has another refusal. It's not our problem. NASB has, what does this have to do with us? I can see how they get that. But again, it's a refusing. The New King James Version has, what have you to do with me?
Okay.
Focusing on the relationship.
Wow. That's getting personal.
I mean, I would expect her response to them to be, I'm your mom.
Yeah.
And then the King James, the older one, what do I have to do with you? Probably implied in this context of someone else's wedding.
Right.
So I get both of those would be negative. Then we have the NAC. What would you like me to do? Which
Okay.
is
That's
closer.
right.
It might imply I can't do anything because, it's not my hour. What would you like me to do? And then she says, whatever he says, good. I don't care. Just do something.
Right.
And then the Good News Translation has even a stronger refusal. Don't tell me what to do.
Ooh, okay.
So, is there another option? Yeah, I think it can be, given what Mary says, I think it should be read in some affirmative way. to support what she says. And because the whole story goes on. She says, whatever he says to do, go do it, and then they go do it, and everything keeps moving. And so what was John doing here? Is this completely disjointed? Some people think it is intentionally as a rhetorical device to highlight the statement, "It's not my hour."
Okay.
And so they basically say this doesn't make sense. The author's doing this to be stilted and to expose this. And now I just don't think that's how we rhetoricians work. You can highlight something by having it look strange, but it should make sense.
Right.
So the NAC and HNTC have "what would you like me to do?" So that could be a positive. There's another one, the ICC, the critical commentary. "I'll take care of it."
Okay.
And then another one, the ISJG, "it's nothing." Basically, this is acceptance without honor because it's so easy to take care of. It's nothing. And actually this phrase, this idiom is a lot like, if I had to choose an English idiom, American idiom, that's so flexible. And a lot of people think it is negative, I should say, because if you did a search for this type of phrase, "what do you have to do with me? What do I have to do with you?" Any of this question with the two datives and two people, you'll hear it in the mouths of demons. Okay. And
I can recognize
who are
that.
you, Jesus? What do you have to do with us?
Yeah.
So typically it's in a very contrary context. And so I think that's why we have so many translations rendering this in a negative way.
Okay.
But I don't think that fits this context. And
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I don't think we're missing anything there, right?
And it's really strange that you could have a phrase that moves from something so negative, from "don't tell me what to do" to "I'll take care of it, it's nothing." Do we have an idiom like that? And actually in New York they have one, or New Jersey. It's "forget about it." And I think even there's a sketch. I can't remember where it comes from, but sometimes "forget about it" means don't worry. Sometimes it means you can't do it. Sometimes it means it's so easy. Of course you can do it. And I think that I can't remember where it came from, but it just went through this long list, and then it finished with, "and sometimes it just means forget about it."
Yeah. Okay.
And so, I think this one has that range.
Okay. Now, so what I'm noticing so far is something that appears here in English, depending on what you're reading, relatively simple, but what you're going through here is showing that there's quite a lot of to consider going through just translating a verse here. Like, it seems, what makes it so complicated, I guess. It seems like, I guess sometimes we just think, oh, just look at the original language, kind of like you open an English book and read it, oh, this is what it says. But as you're pointing out and showing here, like, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, and that was one of the first disappointments I had with learning the language. I thought that, okay, once I learn the original language, I can solve all of this, because I'll just look at the original language and then I'll have the answer. It'll be very clear.
Just black and white, there it is, right?
Yeah, right. The problem is that's not, language is ambiguous. We can't do a mind meld and convey our exact thoughts. We can't even do that with ourselves, thinking back to what we thought yesterday. It's always a slight colored by our current context. And some phrases are more ambiguous than others. And sometimes we want that ambiguity, and it's good. And it provides some room for meditation. Sometimes it provides some room for multiple interpretations. There's all sorts of reasons for it. I think a good rule of thumb, though, is to go with the close context, because what we do in language is we are redundant. because of the flexibility or the ambiguity of language, we tend to repeat ourselves and have multiple, even in conversations while we're recording our faces. That's a redundancy of our communication to reinforce different words, our meaning. So writers will do this. And so you look for that in a narrative. And that's why I was looking at what Mary says. She says, whatever he says, do it. So I think it is definitely a positive. He is affirming something. And then my hour has not yet come is a concession or a condition. So I agree with those latter translations of "I'll take care of it." This isn't a thing for us to do together, or this don't worry about it. This or it's nothing. I think it is something. I think he actually tells us where it falls in that spectrum by "it's not that hour, it's not my hour." And a lot of people, I think, skip or miss the meaning of that statement right there, because that one sounds a lot more understandable. It's not my hour. And a lot of people think, well, it's not my hour for public ministry or to be exposed as my mission to be presented to the world. That's how it's commonly taken. But in this context, there is a man of the hour. This is a wedding context.
Right.
So, who's the man of the hour in this context?
Okay.
It's the bridegroom.
Yes. Yeah.
And the bride, it's her hour too, right? We always say it's it's her day. And it would be really easy for Jesus to overshadow all of that. And especially with a miracle, people forget that the wedding never happened. It could,
right.
It would wreck everything.
Yeah.
And people might say, well, yeah, that's fine. You can wreck someone's wedding in the grand scope of the gospel. This is okay. I don't think so. I think Jesus cares about individuals, cares about them, cares about this moment. And I think he's using it to teach about his time and his ministry, what it's all about. And so when he says, "My hour has come," it now, given that how John wrote this, I think John's thinking this is I'm the bridegroom. This is it carries that wedding motif with it. I have come to claim my bride, the church, with his hour. And that's a strong theme through the New Testament, even God's jealousy through the Old Testament. It is a very strong, and I think it comes out dramatically with the way John starts. This is his first miracle, and it then links it to his final act.
Right.
So if we take that phrase, "this is not my hour," meaning I don't want to overshadow the man. I don't want to be more than the groom here. I don't want, the credit, or, he doesn't, it's basically the overshadowing, I think, is the biggest part here. If we take it as that, whose hour is it? He wants the hour to remain on the bride and groom. Then we can read that back into what is this to me and you, as this is, I'll take care of it, but let's not let it overshadow. This is not a big, we don't want this to be a big thing. What is this to me and you? It's nothing. Let's keep it quiet. It's not my hour. She gets it, and she says, "Okay, whatever he says, do it. We're going to solve this." They do it, and sure enough, he doesn't get any credit for it.
Right.
And so why would he not get credit for it? He would actually have to say don't give me credit for it, to keep this all quiet. Where did they get the idea that we shouldn't tell anybody how this happened? And that's a big theme at the end of the narrative where nobody else knew. It's only the disciples and the close family knew. So, and why did they keep it secret? I think they kept it secret because of verse 4. It's not my hour. And
Wow, okay.
yeah, so I think that's what's going on in verse 4. And I think the big takeaway is that when it is Jesus's hour, he is then in John represented as the bridegroom.
Okay, yeah. That's fascinating. Um, so I had heard one scholar say with that phrase there, like I'm looking at the NET at the moment,
Oh, I love that one. That's probably my favorite translation.
and it's saying, "Woman, why are you saying this to me? My time has not yet come." But I'd heard one scholar even say like that seemed a little rude. Even like, does that make sense to you? Would that be a rude statement, or is that just the way it's coming out in the English?
Yeah, it sounds rude in English, but it's not rude in Greek.
Okay.
The woman would be the formal way, and we don't have as much formalities in modern day America. So the closest thing would be maybe something from the South or older to say ma'am.
Right.
And a lot of people don't refer to their mom as ma'am, but that used to be a way to recognize and be as a label of appreciation and authority. Now it almost sounds sarcastic, but so a translation with as I'll take care of it, ma'am, might still be misunderstood.
Right.
Dear
Okay.
lady might be,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's actually so in the Greek, it's actually is respectful is how he's addressing her. It's not
right.
whereas so it's completely off thinking that he's being rude by any
Oh,
means.
there's no sense. I would not assume that at all.
Okay, so that's interesting because I had heard that, so that's good to know.
I mean, it can be. It's basically the feminine version of sir, and so you can use sir rudely when it's apparent that you're being sarcastic.
Right.
But the literal understanding of it is not rude at all.
Okay. Right. Yeah, and we don't really have any reason, I wouldn't think, to think he's being rude.
No. Well, the
Okay.
only reason would be the him saying no something negative in the next phrase. My hour has not yet come. So that's a negative, and then the fact that this phrase is used in possessed people and demons. But it's a very common phrase. If you go outside the Bible, it's what to me and to you. What basically what to dative to dative. That's the case dative. You
Okay.
can find it in Latin. It's just it's a very bland statement, and it requires context to fill out.
Okay. Okay. And then so basically if it's not yet his time and him being the groom to the bride, it's kind of a whole foreshadowing or alluding to the whole greater picture of the marriage supper of the Lamb. That
Yeah, yeah, and in fact, Mary disappears from John until the crucifixion. She, comes back, and it's another reason to bring the first miracle back to mind at the end.
okay.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I would pay actually in your reading, I would pay very close attention to that final discourse Jesus has, the next discourse he has with his mom.
Is that the next discourse after this?
I
Is
think it is.
is that when he's at the crucifixion?
Right. Behold your son.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. And then I also wondered with that, do you have any thoughts on the water and the wine representing anything else or anything into that water into wine or any thoughts regarding that whole transition or the elements there?
Right. Now, that's usually what most commentators focus on because
Right.
I think it's easier than what we were
Okay.
just doing.
Okay.
It's more direct.
Okay.
They have it's in the water is in the purification jars. It's a Jewish ritual, and so and they are now the wine. It I would say if you're going to follow my reasoning and connect this to the passion, you have to ask about the celebration. What happens after the union, the designation of the unity. They were married at this point. They haven't consummated it, but they were celebrating at this
Hmm.
point. And the if you look after Jesus takes his bride, we have the wine that his blood shed for us, that continues to flow for us and is always there, is unceasing.
Hmm.
And it speaks to the celebration, the joy, the the conquest achieved in the grand narrative. So I think that it's instead of understanding what the wine means in John 2, it's more of what the wine means later.
Right. Yeah, and I guess you see that all throughout scripture, like wine representing the blood quite often throughout, right? So you're having this narrative throughout with different elements and different things representing all kinds of things that show up, like oil or even the figs or the fig tree, and a lot of.
Oh yeah, actually it's I would say those two elements. I think there are three. Okay, I'm going to give you my grand thesis here. There are
Okay.
three marks of the temple.
Okay.
What would you expect at what are the most important parts of the temple? What are the things that really make it a temple? I would say one would be the sacrifices, the blood.
Right.
It's a bloody place. There, the and another would be the opposite of that, the cleansing. They
Right.
have the big dais there, and the washing that takes place, and you have to be clean to go.
Mm.
And so those are two big things. That's where you go to be washed and to be clean and you have this juxtaposition of being cleansed by the blood. But you also have washing there too as well. You have
Mhm.
the baptisms and the big water
Mhm.
sea there out in the temple.
Mhm.
And then the third would be the spirit dwelling in the temple. Those components allow for God with us, and and I think all three are present in this
Mhm.
narrative. And
Right.
I do think all three are present in John 1 when he names them, when he says and I think this was the charge that Jews were presenting the early church with. Where is your blood? Where is your water? And where is your spirit? We have the temple. where are these elements? And I think John, this is called a mirrored interpretive process, where you see John saying, we have the blood, we have the water, we have the spirit, and these three are one. A lot of people say, well, that water is the water coming out of Jesus' side. It's hard to find all of them. But if they are the marks of the temple, that's John responding to a criticism of why don't you go to the temple? All these people, why, and he's basically saying, we have the marks of the temple in us. We have the blood. That's Jesus' blood. We have the water, the baptism, and we have the Spirit now breathed to us, and the Spirit has departed from the temple. Where is your spirit? The temple that has been, the veil was torn, and soon the whole temple would be falling. And so, yeah, I would put these elements as preeminent.
Okay. Yeah, and that is interesting there. You do have the water and the wine right there in this verse, and like you're saying, water for cleansing. The wine it was present in the offerings, but also blood representing wine, or wine representing blood a lot in the scriptures as well. So yeah,
and Jesus says, "I'm the vine," and he at the Lord's Supper he says, "This is my blood." It's very direct, not a leap at all. And the Spirit, at such a ceremony, you can feel the space between people. That's where the Spirit lives. We see that in the unity of the marriage. We see that in the Spirit drawing us to Jesus. We see that in the Spirit's management of the church. And so I think we see that in here. We also see it in the power of the Spirit that happens in the miracle. And we definitely see it when it is Jesus's hour. With the theophany in the sky and the Spirit departing the temple.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot, eh?
Yes.
A lot there.
Yeah, just a few verses. This narrative is so short, but that's what makes it, I think, so pivotal and beautiful. And it's an example of how you can get wonderfully lost in the Word. This is meditation, when you start just to consider all the aspects of, you take it down to a phrase, and then down to the grand narrative, then back down again.
Right. And is that kind of your process when you're studying that out? Like, so for this, were you looking in the Greek when you start pondering it, or do you, like, for your own, say, devotion, do you pick up the English, or do you open the Greek and kind of take a look at what it's saying, or both?
Both. For this one, I started working on this before I even had a facility with Greek, just because I wasn't happy with I was confused by all the different translations. I was confused by the narrative. I didn't like Jesus back talking to his mom, and his mom basically, it felt like a dysfunctional relationship of Jesus saying no, and she's saying, "Oh, sure, just do whatever he says." It really felt disjointed, and I didn't see how it fit within John's entire gospel. And so that got me asking questions. And eventually, when I could see the Greek and could actually see, okay, what are my options here? It helped me really land on something I'm confident about.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so when you're looking at the Greek, like you had mentioned that you're looking at a certain phrase and then you're seeing where that phrase is used elsewhere. Is that all in that translation, like seeing the original context, or I would assume within the Bible itself, but you also had mentioned looking at the similar phrases even outside of the Bible. So is this something translators consistently do, like an important part of translating?
Oh yeah. So like a good lexicon will give you even a good dictionary, a English dictionary even will uh, give you examples of how a word or phrase is used in lots of different contexts, just to support their definition. And so it's a very normal process to build a corpus of, well, we call it the range of meaning for this a word. And so in dictionaries, you'll oftentimes have 5 different meanings, A, B, C, and they'll all be close in kind of a general area. Or sometimes the opposites. Sometimes words do that. But then you have to use context to figure out, okay, which one, and sometimes, those people are all making judgments. And so did they get all of them? Sometimes there's double entendre where 2 or more are intended to come out. And so it's all about that immediate context and how it relates to the broader context. We have this innate ability to want to communicate, to want to be consistent. We will oftentimes in speech and in writing correct ourselves. So you have to watch out for that. That's permissible to correct yourself, or to say this is actually a clearer. And you see that the disciples are always asking Jesus to be more direct and clear.
Right. Right. Like, or even just like the parables, and then it's given to you to understand, but not to everybody else, basically, that sort of thing.
Right.
Okay.
There's another part to it that on that hour,
Yeah.
a lot of people will say, well, that's an English idiom, man of the hour. Is that a Greek idiom, though? Is that accurate? I think it is. And so my basis for that would be verses like in the same gospel, John 12:23, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. So there's a moment. And so there you have what happens at the hour of the Son of Man, glorification. That's really what we mean by man of the hour in our idiom, who's receiving the glory and the attention. So I think that everything has to have a reason, be defended. The hour is just a huge theme in the gospel. It's interesting. Yeah, right after that verse, he says, "What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour,"
Right.
which is an interesting thing. So again, slowing down. If he just said 4 verses earlier, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified," it sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
And then he says, "What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour." That's what he said in John 2 to Mary. He was saved from, he didn't get the glory.
Right.
But he did the act to achieve it. And it's interesting. Somebody does in that narrative in John 2, somebody does get the glory for the wine. And that's the bridegroom.
Right.
He is complimented. That's the ending of it. The glory is transferred to someone else.
Interesting.
But in the entire gospel, he asked the question, should I, and save has an interesting meaning there. Save me from this hour. But for this purpose, I have come to this hour. And so that's, I think, to receive that glory, to accomplish the mission. Now the cost is going to be much higher to him than the cost that he had in John 2. He risked being exposed, being mobbed perhaps by people who would want more. But the glory that the bridegroom received was good, but again, just a small fraction of what is happening in the Passion Week. I think I think it is. The next time Jesus speaks to Mary, he doesn't say a word to Mary in the rest of the gospel, is when when he was lifted up. And Mary sees at that point the glory. And so what is, he has everyone's attention. And you could say, well, that's not the kind of attention that is typically identified as glory. It's not glorious. In
Right.
fact, it was designed to be the opposite.
Right.
But the what is glorious is the demonstration of the depths of his love, and the love that he has for his bride, the church. That is on full display. And Mary sees that. His hour has come. He now, his glory, his love for the church is exposed. And I think that is the point of John 2, the wedding at Cana, and the passion, the crucifixion, the
Okay.
hour.
Right. Yeah, wow. There's a lot to ponder and meditate on.
Yes.
And that I don't know if it's a motif, but that beginning and ending, you get that a lot of that. Even John in the beginning, the way he starts the whole, it's similar, reminisce of Bereshit, right? Like that beginning and ending, and that, or just the garden imagery in Genesis, well, literally, but and then Revelation, like there's a lot of that beginning ending. So if we're looking at the beginning, that first miracle, and then seeing what's happening at the end, like it definitely fits that motif of how those cycles that you see that.
Yes. Yes. And the temple has all sorts of beginning imagery in it. It is like a miniature garden with the
Mm.
sea, with the fruit that's carved into it.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's we words are images. We are images.
Right. Yeah.
And and so we're called to reflect on them and to enjoy them.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's very cool. Is there anything else in there that you wanted to share with us on that?
That was the main. Yeah, that's. I think anything else would go backwards into the weeds. There's a lot
Okay.
more we could talk about, but I like where we've finished with him receiving his glory and
Right.
his his devotion and sacrifice for the church and for Mary being there and him calling it to her attention.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I don't think that there was ever what do you call it? Burying the hatchet. There's nothing to be reconciled between Jesus and Mary. I don't see
Right.
any rift
No.
from the wedding at Cana to
No,
the
they're in good
end.
terms.
If anything, yes, they were a team.
Yeah.
She's directing this. I think that yeah, she's allowing him to work. She's directing the servants to Jesus to be instructed. I I have some other. It does raise other questions, like why was Mary so involved? I have opinions about that as well, but maybe another conversation at some
Okay,
point.
sure. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we can definitely do more because we'll talk about another time. First John, you said, right? Was another one?
Oh yes, the when we alluded to it, those I kind of gave it away. Those three
Whoops.
elements that nobody can quite
Ah,
figure
okay.
out. Why did he put those three together?
Right.
They don't seem like a
Okay.
natural three, but
Right.
they are if you view it as the temple.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fascinating as well. The beauty of it is that the depth, like Paul said, right? I forget the exact language, but the depth and the width of the word, like unsearchable. I believe it was to
Hmm.
some something like that is what he said. But yeah, That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for your insights there. Definitely something to ponder and think like the hour and the glorification there. And that's awesome. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. It was a joy talking with you and look forward to future conversations.
Me as well. Now, is there anywhere you'd like to direct the audience to your work or anything you'd like them to check out or?
Yeah. So the at redemption.edu, I post from time to time theological opinions in much more, very concise, just a short readings, but studies. I had a really interesting one on the Easter, the last words of Jesus on the cross. I think often misunderstood. I usually do a Christmas one that should be coming out here shortly. I had one from last year. So
Okay.
yeah, the redemption.edu. You can also learn more about redemption at that point. The blog is where that material is, and that's under resources. Or just redemption.edu/news is where.
Okay. I'll try to get those links in the description. All right. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, Alec. Yeah, it's great to chat.